everybody, RV Enthusiast here. Nice seeing you again. Hey, it is Tuesday morning. It's about 9:45. It's 57 degrees, heading to 57 degrees. We are raining. It's got a slight sprinkle. You can probably see where they're hitting my shoulder and turning the gray sweatshirt even grayer. Anyway, what I've got for you today is a video on how to not hook up your Jeep, but how to get your Jeep, your tow vehicle, into the right mode of operation to be towed. I have the Jeep tow procedure and untowing procedure for you, and I'll leave a copy of those procedures at the end of the video for you to copy or print screen or however you want to do it. But these are the procedures for any JK with a non-locking steering wheel, and I think most Jeeps have that now. So if your Jeep has a locking steering wheel, your procedures are going to be a little bit different, but that's what we have for today's video. Okay, let's get started on this video. I'll show you what we're doing. Come on. All right, everybody. Hey, I'm going to show you the correct procedures for getting your Jeep in a position to be able to be towed by your RV. So there's a set of procedures, especially on JKs. This is a 2012 Jeep Sport Unlimited Edition JK, but all JK procedures should be the same. When a key is not in the ignition, the steering wheel is freewheeling. If you have a locked steering wheel, your procedures will be a little bit different. So you may want to check those out. But kind of what I want to show you, and I'll give you a copy of this at the end of the video, where you can either transpose it yourself, or you can, take a, just do a print screen and do it that way. Okay, so we have Jeep towing and Jeep, I call it detowing, but basically hooking up and unhooking, right? So we'll go through the Jeep towing hookup procedures first. What we're going to do, we're going to pretend we've just pulled it up. We're going to start the Jeep. So we're going to act as if we have just pulled it up behind the RV. Okay? So we would have been in this position in drive. We pull up behind the RV. We're getting ready to tow it. Stop the Jeep. Keep it running. Press and hold the brake. Shift the transmission to neutral. Turn off the engine. Okay, I just turned it off, but I didn't turn it to off. I just turned it to the on position of the key. Shift the transfer case to neutral. There's 4 high, and then back here, now that's neutral. Transfer case is in neutral. Start the engine. Ensure that the 4-wheel indicator is not on. 4-wheel indicator is not on. And shift into reverse. Release the brake to see if the Jeep moves. I release the brake, the Jeep is not moving. Shift to drive, release the brake, see if the Jeep moves. Jeep's not moving. And each time I shift, I put my foot back on the brake, just because that's how I'm used to shifting the vehicle. Turn the engine off, which is just to the on position. Shift the transmission to park. Make sure the Jeep is freewheeling. So for this, I'll just get out and kind of push it. Jeep is certainly freewheeling. Show you, and I actually do it every time because I never park perfectly where I need to be for the RV, so I'll usually either have to push it a little bit forward or push it a little bit backwards. Now, hook up the Jeep to the tow vehicle, release the parking brake, and then I have a bungee. I'm going to attach the parking brake because I don't want it to move. Then I have a bungee that I have always attached to my seat underneath. Here's my bungee. And I just wrap it around my brake pedal, and then I'm done. Now the reason I have the bungee around the brake pedal is I use NSA's Ready Brute Elite, and that's a surge braking system. So when the RV comes to a stop, it allows the Jeep and tow bar to press in against the RV, and it kind of moves a lever up, which pulls the brake pedal on via a cable. And to ensure that when I release it and I continue driving on, that my brake pedal comes all the way back, because there's a little bit of, if it's not been used a little bit or whatever, I always use that bungee to ensure that that brake pedal comes back to the top position to turn off the back tail lights on the Jeep. The keys do not have to be in it when you're in the tow position. Your keys can be in your pocket. I usually put them up in the RV, up by me, or hook them on a hook, so I always know where they're at. I never leave them in the Jeep. That way you can have the Jeep locked when you're towing it, or unlocked, however you want to do it. But usually mine is locked when I'm towing it, and the keys are up by the dash in the RV. Okay, so now we've gotten back into the Jeep. I would have unhooked my bungee. I would have applied the parking brake because we've just finished towing. It says, do not start the car. Turn the ignition switch to the on position. It's on. It says, do not start. And these are my procedures. I basically took the owner's manual, which was a little confusing on how to do it, but through testing and figuring it out, this is what I've come up with. And I use this procedure going to Arizona and coming back, but I reworded some of the words because it still was a little confusing, because I would call the automatic transmission, I'd call it transmission, and then I'd call the transfer case trans. So I had to reword all that to make sure I had it right for myself, and I knew I was going to do this for you as well. Okay, so we haven't started it. Turn the ignition switch to on, do not start. Press and hold the brake. I'm doing that now. Shift the transmission to neutral. Start the engine. Shift the transfer case to 2 high, and for me that is all the way forward. And when I was in Arizona, when I don't have my glasses on and there's no bright light in here, I just moved it to what I thought was 2 high, but it was the first engagement, which is 4 high. And of course I drove it on dry roads in Arizona, and you could smell the rubber of the front tires doing it. They're gripping, and it shouldn't have been run like that. I didn't run it a whole long time, but a few miles, and you could definitely smell the rubber being burnt off because of all tires trying to pull on dry pavement. So don't make that mistake. Make sure you know where your 2 high is. In my case, it's all the way forward on my transfer case. So there's 2 high, or 2 low, and now I'm all the way forward on my transfer case. So I am 2 high, and my 4 high indicator up here is not on. Shift the transmission to park. Turn off engine. Disconnect the Jeep. And now we're going to pretend like it was all done and we can drive it away. So we would just come back, start the car, take my emergency brake off, put it in reverse. It wants to move. Put it in forward. It wants to move. So that's all done. That's how you do it, guys. It's pretty simple with some good instructions right here versus reading the book, taking all that time, kind of a pain, or having instructions as I had written before, where I still had to think about, am I talking about transfer case or am I talking about transmission? In these procedures, when I talk about transmission, I'm talking about the park, reverse, neutral drive, normal transmission of the vehicle. And the way I have it written as well, it's the transfer case, which we're talking about 2 high, 4 high, 4 low, and neutral. All right, guys, that's all I have for this episode. I appreciate you joining me, and remember, full-time, part-time, anytime is a great time to RV, and we'll see you on the next episode.
To like, share, and subscribe, click the logo to the left.